So look, outside of political reasons, we can see that you shouldn't stake your whole life on one singular platform. We can see that, by not differentiating our different platforms, our different sources of income, literally our whole life can be swept from under our feet without it being in any of our hands. Like, we have no choice. Like, one day you just lose your job and you're kind of fucked. You know what I mean? Like, it's just game over, because it just helps with the longevity of your lifestyle, if you know what I mean. Because if you only ever have one source, you're literally just waiting on the downfall of that one source. But in a sense, this ban hammer really has been a wake-up call as well. And I genuinely think if a lot of apps did get banned, there would be a downward trend of people doing dumb shit in public. Because, this clout, this rise to fame, this money that you get with clout, it really does bring the worst out of humanity. For example, you see that guy who goes to different Asian countries and he starts mocking them. He tries to, get a reaction. He's just trying to be annoying and be a pest. Likewise, I don't know if you've seen these American people who go out to certain buildings and record people just to entice a reaction, just so they can evoke their First Amendment right and all the rest of it. It's cool, well done, you're using your rights, but you know what you're doing. If there was no camera, if there was no clout or money, you would not be doing this. You would just be an unemployed person, being a bum, right? So this social media gives us leverage to do things that we just didn't have access to before. And I think by getting rid of certain social medias or putting certain, requirements or rules, it really would change how we interact with social media, and we wouldn't be doing all this dumb shit to get attention. Now, of course, entertainment is a type of social media, right? People love to be entertained. Fundamentally, people just want to have fun. So I can see the need for it. And, some people are just funny. It's just like that. Some people have that personality and people want to laugh and have a good time. But when you're literally enticing people to anger, where they want to ban you from their country and you're getting beaten up on the street, you can see cool, the money's there, but at what cost? And people will forego their morals and principles for money. When it comes to it, living this lifestyle and being this person and being a star, people will do anything it takes. By any means possible, people will do it. If you can think of it, someone's probably done it. And I think that is the problem. It kind of opens that bubble. But then you start going into the whole freedom of your free will and all the rest of it. But I think the problem is just being paid for it. Cool, you can do what you want, within the laws of the government. But if you're not paid for doing dumb shit, then we wouldn't get all this degenerate shit on our platforms. And look, from the government's perspective, it makes sense to ban TikTok because people can earn millions just by being a star. You could literally be a construction worker one day, just a normal blue collar job, feeding your family, everything's good. And then the next day you could go viral, you could be famous, you could make a platform, you're earning millions in months. What you used to earn in a year, now you're earning in a month. And it really does mess up the scale, and it bridges the gap between the poor and the rich. And that's exactly what they don't want. If everybody is rich, that means nobody is rich. They need that gap to stay good, so that there are the working class who are the working, they build society, right? So if all the construction workers became rich, that's it, the society is done, because you're not going with the times anymore. You're not able to keep up with demand. Everybody is just in the shopping centre and spending money. Cool, there's money, there's cash flow, but there's no future development. And I think that is the problem. They don't want all these people having access to such wealth so easily. It's nowadays, you don't have to go to acting school. You don't have to be an actual celebrity to be a celebrity. You can become YouTube famous from YouTube. And of course, I know this kind of sounds hypocritical because I too am trying to grow a platform, but it's the way about it that, I'm not trying to be a clown on the internet doing dumb shit. I am trying to spread some sort of value and spread some sort of information. And of course, just my opinions. And also, if people get access to this money, it loosens the government's grip on them because they have that financial freedom to do what they want. So now that they're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore, it's like they don't have that fear, so that they don't have to go to work, if you know what I mean. Like if you work a normal job, you're living paycheck to paycheck and you have to turn up every day to get that money. So you are kind of stuck in that cycle. Whereas once you all of a sudden become a millionaire, it's like, whoa, you don't have to do anything anymore. Now you're only just a consumer, as in you just go shopping and you spend on nice things and you live your life, but you're no longer kind of an active member of society. Like, you know, people look down on, say, bin men, but without the bin men, our society would collapse. You know, our whole houses would be full of just rubbish, or the streets would be full of rubbish, and then we get rats and everything else, and you know, it's a mess. So without these kind of groundwork jobs that actually help society run, we don't really have a society anymore. So I do see from the government's perspective, you know, outside of politics and the whole security risk and data and stuff, I think it does make sense to try and bring people back to traditional jobs so they can control the masses more and keep that bridge, you know, apart of the rich and the poor. And you know, there are many great benefits to social media. I will talk about a little bit of the bad side later, but you know, it is given so many companies the access to be able to have access to more of an audience, to be able to reach the new audiences, to give value, to give, you know, recipes, information, you know, entertainment, anything. It gives you access to people that you would never be able to talk to before. It gives you access to get to know about foreign lands and their traditions and their ways of life that you would never be able to know other than going to the local library and happen to find that one book, right? Now you have like an endless stream of information that you have access to. And it is incredible, right? Before we were sending letters that would come within, I don't know how long it was, 2 weeks, let's say, or a month, depending of where you sent it from. And then that's how you would communicate. Now you can send a message to the other side of the world in 1 second. It's already sent and it's already been delivered within a second. And that also kind of links to why the government don't want us to have this access to the working class of other people, because you know we're portrayed that, for example, China live this way and they're poor and they don't have this and they're backwards and you know they're trying to take over this and that. But when we actually have access to the source, the actual people, the normal working class people in China, for example, or whatever country that, you know, our countries are fighting against, and we see that the normal people who are not in politics or not in wars, they're just living their day-to-day life, they're just normal, chill people. Like, they're just cool. Do you know what I mean? They're friendly, they're normal human beings, and they're just trying to go about their business and live their life. And that's what they don't want. They want to entice, they want to kind of fearmonger and have that divide so we are apart. And you know, that can also be seen on the other side, like China. I know they have apps only for their country, and you can see that censorship as a bit of a kind of a jail, right? Because you're not allowing the free access of information. So it kind of goes here and there, but I do understand from a government's point of view why they would try to put, you know, barriers and, you know, reasons not to be able to talk to the other side, because they don't want us to know the truth. They don't want us to have unbiased press, like unbiased information. Because of course, when you listen to the news, that is biased information, propaganda on our side, right? Whereas if you're actually just hearing from the actual people, like what actually is going on day to day, it's a little bit less unbiased. Of course, everyone has natural bias, but I'm saying our country will always have us in mind, right? To try and say, you know, they're the enemy and they're this and that. So having that opportunity to talk to, it's not just like one person we're talking to, you have access to millions of people from the different countries. It gives you a more of a clearer lens of what is out there and what the truth is. At the end of the day, we all know this is a fact, that knowledge is power, right? Knowledge and information is so strong in today's society. It is very, like, for example, even back in the day with war, right? If you had that knowledge of their whereabouts, you had the communication, and you was able to pinpoint where they were and how they were performing, that is fundamental in your fight, right? It's information is what wins wars. Information is what wins a company if they have the right knowledge about their customers and all the rest of it. Knowledge is the key for everything. Look, at the end of the day, the people have spoke, right? They have spoken, and people do love TikTok. They love whatever it is about it. Originally, of course, it was Vine who kind of brought this concept to the table of, you know, unlimited couple second clip its. And then kind of all the American companies have followed suit with it. They've done the same thing with Instagram Reels. You got the Snapchat Spotlight. You've got YouTube Shorts. It's all the same stuff. It's instant gratification. It's quick, you know, quick access information there and there, and then you're on to the next one. And it obviously works because people love it. There's an audience for it. The creators love it. It's quick. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I've just never been a fan of TikTok. I've never really had an account. I think I've uploaded 1 or 2 things in the time that it's been out. And I think it's just because it's an endless stream of nonsense brain rot, if you know what I mean. And cool, your algorithm is what you look at. But I like the idea of like YouTube, for example, where you can actually choose what content you want to watch, and then you can actually have a bit of an attention span to watch it for longer than 5 minutes or whatever TikToks are now. But I know originally they were only a few seconds, right? And then you're on to the next one. I think YouTube's a lot more intentional with your time, and you can actually pick things that you like rather than just everyone just like trying to do the fastest thing they can to get you to like their video. But that's my own opinion. But likewise, I know if I want to be smart and I want to grow an audience of people, I know if I want to build a community of people and I want to, you know, do this social media thing, then of course I need to branch out and try and access these other communities and platforms. And it's not really like, I have no problem as, you know, politically and all that kind of stuff. I have no problem with TikTok. I don't care whether they're here or not. For me, which is more of a personal thing, but I am definitely going to try and utilize and leverage these platforms. So, you know, if you've made this far somehow, then I'll put a link in the description of my my TikTok handle and Instagram as well. And yeah, I mean, that's all I've kind of really got to say. Ideally, I want to be more of a producer than a consumer of the content, but that's a talk for a different day. So thank you very much for your time. And yeah, I hope you was able to get some value from this video. Anyways, in a bit.